Imagine your grandmother, 78 years old, taking a bottle of tablets every morning, magnesium, vitamin D3, K2. She believes she is boosting her bones, her heart, her vitality. Yet inside, her kidneys struggle to clear extra minerals, her arteries may gradually calcify, and unknown to her, one misstep could tip her into trouble. Today, I want to take you by the hand and walk you through a question that very few YouTube videos dare to ask. Are magnesium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2 always safe in the elderly, or can they become silently dangerous? Let's uncover what the research, physiology, and real life stories tell us. By the end, you'll know whether and when such supplements make sense and how to do it wisely. Have you ever noticed how easily we trust the word vitamin? It sounds innocent, almost magical, like sunlight in a capsule or health in a bottle. That's exactly why so many elderly people start their mornings with a handful of supplements. Magnesium for the nerves, vitamin D3 for the bones, vitamin K2 for the heart. But what if I told you that these same little pills, when taken without respect for the body's changing chemistry, can slowly turn from friend to foe? You see, the elderly body is not the same vessel it once was. The kidneys, which once filtered minerals like precision machines, now move slower, more cautiously. The liver, which once managed detoxification with ease, now hesitates. And the gut, once quick to absorb and quick to eliminate, becomes selective, sometimes stubborn. So when we pour in high doses of magnesium, vitamin D3, and K2 without understanding how the system has aged, we risk overwhelming it. The idea that more is better collapses entirely after 60. The margin between sufficiency and toxicity grows thinner with every birthday. Too much vitamin D3 can push calcium into the blood faster than the body can handle, leading to confusion, kidney stones, or irregular heart rhythms. Too much magnesium, especially in those with even mild kidney issues, can cause weakness, dangerously low blood pressure, or slowed breathing. Even vitamin K2, often praised for directing calcium away from arteries, can become a problem if someone is on blood-thinning medication. It may change how their medicine works, quietly tipping the balance between clotting and bleeding. And the scariest part, these effects rarely shout, they whisper. They appear as mild fatigue, subtle confusion, or a routine blood test that looks a little off. I once read about an elderly woman whose doctor noticed elevated calcium and declining kidney function after months of healthy supplementation. She didn't feel sick until she stopped, and only then realized how heavy her body had felt. That story repeats quietly in clinics across the world. The problem is not evil vitamins, it's blind faith in them. Vitamins and minerals are tools, not talismans. They need to be measured, balanced, and timed according to the body's capacity. Imagine filling an aging car with premium fuel without checking the engine. The shiny gas means nothing if the pistons can't handle the pressure. In the same way, the elderly body needs gentle calibration, not aggressive fueling. Supplements should support physiology, not challenge it. If you are over 60 and feel that energy boost from your new supplement stack, pause and ask, is it balance or overstimulation? Because health is not about how much you add, but how wisely you adjust. When used carefully, these nutrients can heal. But when taken thoughtlessly, they can harm just as quietly. In the world of supplementation, especially after 60, the difference between medicine and poison is often just a few milligrams and a few missed tests. So, before you open the next bottle, remember this simple truth: even light, when too concentrated, can burn. Imagine three musicians playing a delicate symphony inside your body. Magnesium keeps rhythm in your muscles and nerves. Vitamin D3 conducts the orchestra of calcium, and vitamin K2 directs where that calcium should finally rest. When these three play in harmony, the performance is breathtaking. Bones grow strong, arteries stay flexible, and cells communicate smoothly. But the moment one instrument gets louder than the rest, the music turns chaotic. Most people, especially in older age, never realize how interlinked these nutrients are. Vitamin D3 helps the intestines pull calcium from food into the bloodstream. Magnesium activates vitamin D3 into its usable form, almost like turning a key in an ignition. And vitamin K2 ensures that the newly absorbed calcium knows its destination, bone and teeth, not the arteries or heart valves. Now here's the danger. If you flood the system with high doses of vitamin D3 and forget magnesium or K2, you create a traffic jam of calcium with no proper direction. Calcium starts wandering into soft tissues, quietly hardening what should remain flexible. In arteries, that becomes calcification, the same process that stiffens blood vessels and raises cardiovascular risk. In kidneys, it can form stones in joints. It can cause pain. That's how a supplement meant to strengthen bones can paradoxically age the arteries. On the other hand, take magnesium alone in large doses, and you may disturb your body's mineral balance, lowering blood pressure too far, or interacting with medications like diuretics. In older adults with even mild kidney issues, excess magnesium can build up, leading to weakness, confusion, or heart rhythm changes. Vitamin K2, while generally safe, becomes complicated if someone takes blood thinners like warfarin. It can blunt the effect of their medication, leading to dangerous clotting shifts. What's astonishing is how few people know this. They see glossy online charts pairing D3 with bone strength and assume doubling the dose doubles the benefit. But biology doesn't work like arithmetic. It works like chemistry. The moment you oversaturate one element, the entire reaction shifts. And in older physiology, which already filters nutrients more slowly and handles mineral balance more delicately, these shifts hit harder. That's why the best approach is harmony, not heroism. The correct relationship among these three nutrients resembles a triangle of trust. D3 raises calcium, K2 directs it, and magnesium regulates the entire process. When one corner weakens, or one dominates, the triangle collapses. Think of it like watering a garden. Sunlight. Vitamin D3 helps the plants grow, but without enough soil minerals as magnesium or root guidance K2, the growth becomes wild and damaging. I've seen older adults whose blood tests showed normal calcium levels, but elevated arterial stiffness. A silent reminder that calcium isn't just about quantity, but placement. The right balance can make the difference between flexible arteries and calcified ones, between strong bones and brittle ones. And balance doesn't mean high doses, it means coordination. For example, small consistent amounts of D3 as around 800-1000 IU daily, moderate magnesium 200-300 mg, and gentle K2, so 100-150 dg, tailored and monitored, often achieve more than megadoses ever could. When these three nutrients play together, your bones become the stage of a well-tuned performance. When they're imbalanced, your arteries bear the noise. So if you're older and supplementing, think like a conductor. Don't chase volume, chase harmony. Because the body, especially an aging one, doesn't reward excess, it rewards rhythm. And as we move forward, we must ask, how does this aging orchestra itself change the way these nutrients behave? That's where understanding the physiology of aging becomes the next crucial step. Picture your body as a magnificent house you've lived in for decades. In your youth, every pipe, wire, and circuit ran flawlessly. The filtration system, your kidneys, was like new plumbing, clearing every impurity. The electrical wiring, your nerves, sparked with precision. But over time, even the strongest house begins to change. The paint fades, the pipes narrow, and the system that once tolerated everything now needs gentler handling. That's exactly what happens inside the human body as it ages. We often forget that the same supplements we took safely in our 30s or 40s can behave very differently in our 70s and 80s. Magnesium, vitamin D3, and K2 don't stop being important, but the terrain in which they act becomes more fragile. The kidneys, for example, are responsible for filtering magnesium and calcium from the bloodstream. By the age of 70, their filtration rate can drop by nearly 40%. That means excess minerals linger longer in circulation, increasing the risk of accumulation and toxicity. The bones themselves change, they lose density, yes, but also responsiveness. The cells that once eagerly absorbed calcium slow down, while arteries, once elastic, begin to calcify like mineral deposits inside an old pipe. The liver's efficiency in activating vitamin D3 also wanes, and the gut's ability to absorb nutrients becomes unpredictable. Add to this the fact that many older adults are taking 5, 6, sometimes 10 medications daily, diuretics, blood pressure drugs, proton pump inhibitors, anticoagulants, and get a delicate chemical balancing act. A single supplement can shift the entire equation. A magnesium pill might interact with a diuretic, causing the mineral to spike or drop too fast. Vitamin D3 might amplify calcium absorption beyond what the body can regulate. Even K2, though protective, can interfere with blood thinners if doses are not carefully balanced. What makes this even trickier is that symptoms of imbalance in older adults rarely appear dramatically. Instead, they whisper through fatigue, dizziness, muscle weakness, or mental fog. Many brush these off as just aging, never realizing their supplement stack is quietly contributing. The elderly body, in essence, becomes more sensitive, not weaker, but more precise. It requires smaller adjustments, slower doses, more observation. Think of it as tuning a violin that's aged beautifully. Every string must be handled delicately because too much tension can snap it. The kidneys no longer tolerate large surges of minerals. The intestines no longer guarantee absorption efficiency. Hormonal regulation of calcium and magnesium shifts too, as parathyroid and vitamin D receptors become less responsive. Even sunlight, nature's vitamin D source, produces less D3 in aging skin, which tempts many seniors to over-supplement. It's a perfect storm of good intentions meeting fragile physiology, and yet awareness is the solution. By understanding how the aging body processes these nutrients differently, we move from blind faith to intelligent care. Supplements that once acted like a boost now behave more like medications, potent, beneficial, but requiring precision. That's why blood tests for vitamin D, calcium, and kidney function become non-negotiable past 60. The numbers tell a story before symptoms do. The lesson here isn't fear, it's respect. Respect for a body that has carried us for decades and now asks for gentler stewardship. So before taking the same pill you took 10 years ago, pause and ask, is my body the same as it was 10 years ago? Because physiology evolves and wisdom lies in evolving with it. And once we recognize these changes, the next question naturally follows, at what age does supplementation cross from helpful to risky, and how can we tell the difference? Let's imagine something simple yet powerful. You wake up in the morning, take your usual supplements, magnesium for your nerves, vitamin D3 for your bones, and K2 because someone told you it helps calcium go where it should. You feel proud. You think, I'm doing everything right. But what if I told you that inside your body, these three nutrients could be fighting each other, quietly creating chaos instead of harmony? This is what I call the silent conflict inside the aging body. Magnesium, vitamin D3, and K2 are like three musicians in an orchestra. When they play in sync, the melody keeps your bones strong, your heart rhythmic, and your brain calm. But if one musician plays too loud, say, too much vitamin D3, it can drown out the others. That's when imbalance begins. You see, vitamin D3 boosts calcium absorption from the gut. But without enough magnesium, that calcium may not be properly directed or utilized. It starts depositing in arteries, joints, and soft tissues, turning what should be nourishment into potential harm. Here's the surprising part. Studies from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism have shown that seniors with low magnesium levels often don't respond properly to vitamin D3 supplementation. In simpler words, if your body doesn't have enough magnesium, the vitamin D you're taking might not even get activated. So you could be taking thousands of IUs of vitamin D daily, and your blood test still shows deficiency. That's like pouring water into a bottle with no cap. Most of it is just wasted. Now let's bring vitamin K2 into this equation. Vitamin K2's main role is to direct calcium, telling it where to go and where not to go. It activates proteins like osteocalcin, which guide calcium into bones, and matrix GLA protein, which keeps calcium out of arteries. But here's the catch for vitamin K2 to do this properly. It needs vitamin D3 to produce those proteins, and it needs magnesium to support the enzymes that activate them. This is where balance becomes everything. Think of your body like a house being built. Vitamin D3 brings in the bricks douse calcium. Vitamin K2 is the engineer deciding where those bricks go, and magnesium is the energy powering the construction tools. If one worker goes missing or works too much, the house becomes unstable. That's why elderly individuals who self-prescribe high doses of these supplements, especially without medical guidance, often end up with unexpected problems. Calcified arteries, kidney stones, irregular heartbeats, or muscle cramps. One powerful example comes from a real life case shared by a geriatric clinician. A 72-year-old woman took high doses of vitamin D3 and K2 for months because she believed it would strengthen her bones. Her bone density did improve slightly, but her calcium levels skyrocketed, and she developed arterial stiffness. The reason? Her magnesium was critically low. When they restored her magnesium balance, her symptoms eased, and her cardiovascular markers improved. It was a striking reminder that more is not always better. It's balance that heals. Experts today emphasize that for elderly individuals, supplementation should not be seen as a fix-all. Instead, it's a delicate adjustment. The right balance typically means 200-400 milliliters of magnesium daily from sources like glycinate or citrate. 1,000 IU of vitamin D3s adjusted by blood tests, and 100-200 mcg of vitamin K2s as MK7 form. But these are guidelines, not commands. Every person's absorption, lifestyle, and genetic makeup vary. So here's the truth. The danger isn't in these nutrients. It's in using them blindly. When balanced, they protect your heart, support your bones, and keep your brain sharp. But when taken carelessly, they can quietly turn into the very reason your body begins to weaken. Let me ask you something simple but powerful. If calcium builds strong bones, shouldn't more calcium make you even stronger? That's what many people over 60 believe. They think, if I'm taking vitamin D3, K2, and magnesium, I can take as much calcium as I want. It's all good for my bones. But here's the shocking truth. Excessive calcium, especially when mixed with these supplements in the wrong way, can quietly destroy the very organs you're trying to protect. Imagine pouring cement into a pipe that's supposed to carry water. At first, it flows easily, but over time, that cement hardens, blocking everything. That's exactly what happens inside your arteries when calcium isn't properly managed. The calcium meant for your bones ends up sticking to your artery walls. This is called vascular calcification, and it's one of the hidden reasons why so many seniors, even those taking their vitamins faithfully, suffer from stiff arteries, heart attacks, and strokes. You see, vitamin D3 helps absorb calcium from the gut, but it doesn't decide where that calcium goes. Vitamin K2 is the director. It tells calcium to move into your bones and stay out of your arteries. But even that system doesn't work if you're low in magnesium. Magnesium is the regulator, the one that controls how much calcium enters your cells. Without it, calcium starts behaving like an uninvited guest, showing up everywhere it shouldn't. A 2023 review published in Nutrients Journal highlighted something fascinating. It found that older adults who took vitamin D supplements without adequate magnesium and K2 had higher levels of calcium buildup in soft tissues, especially arteries and kidneys. The same study noted that people who maintained a magnesium to calcium ratio close to 1,002 had significantly fewer heart-related issues. That means if you're consuming 1,000 milliliters of calcium daily, your magnesium intake should be around 400-500 mg to stay balanced. Now, let's translate that into a real-world example. Think of your bones as a savings account and calcium as your money. Vitamin D3 helps you earn more money by improving absorption, while K2 ensures you deposit it into the right account, your bones. But magnesium, it's your financial manager. Without it, your money's calcium starts leaking into unwanted places, your arteries, kidneys, or joints. That's when you get kidney stones, joint stiffness, or elevated blood pressure. A case reported in the American Journal of Medicine told the story of a 68-year-old man who followed what he thought was a perfect supplement routine: 5,000 IU of vitamin D3, 200 mSievert of K2, and a daily calcium supplement. Within a year, his blood tests showed dangerously high calcium levels and signs of kidney calcification. When doctors adjusted his magnesium intake and reduced his vitamin D3 dosage, his calcium normalized. The body healed once balance was restored. And here's the twist that surprises most people: you may not even need as much calcium as you think. Studies show that adults over 60 who consume calcium-rich foods like leafy greens, sardines, almonds, and dairy in moderation often maintain stronger bones than those who rely solely on supplements. Why? Because food sources of calcium come naturally paired with cofactors like trace magnesium and K2 that help your body use calcium wisely. So, what should you really do? Focus on synergy, not quantity. Instead of obsessing over how much calcium or vitamin D3 to take, think about how your body processes it. Balance is the key. For most seniors, this means consuming moderate calcium around 800-1,000 mg daily, mostly from food, and 200-400 mg of magnesium, 100-200 mSievert and mSarge of vitamin K2, and keeping vitamin D3 levels within 40-60 ng/ml as measured by blood tests. The truth is, your bones don't just need calcium, they need communication between nutrients. When vitamin D3 shouts, "Bring in more calcium," vitamin K2 and magnesium whisper, "Yes, but let's place it where it belongs." Without that whisper, the shout becomes destructive. So, before you pop that extra calcium tablet or increase your vitamin D3 dose, remember this? Health is not a race to have more. It's a dance of precision, balance, and timing. If you learn that rhythm, your bones stay strong, your heart stays young, and your body stays free from the silent trap of too much calcium. Let me start with a question that might sound simple, but carries a deep truth. Can something good for your health eventually harm you if you take too much of it? Most seniors don't think so. They see vitamins as helpers, natural, safe, and harmless. If a little is good, they think a bit more must be better. But that's where the danger begins. Because when you cross that invisible line, your supplements stop healing and start hurting. Imagine your body as a small city. Magnesium, vitamin D3, and K2 are like the city's essential workers. Magnesium is the electrician, keeping nerves and muscles running smoothly. Vitamin D3 is the architect, building structures and strengthening the foundation, your bones. And K2 is the traffic controller, making sure calcium goes to the right place. But what happens when you hire too many workers and they all start giving orders at once? The city falls into confusion. Roads jam. Power circuits overload. And what was once harmony turns into chaos. That's what happens inside your body when supplements are taken without balance or guidance. Over-supplementation is one of the most silent and misunderstood problems in modern health culture. Many older adults take multiple vitamins without realizing that their bodies process them differently than they did decades ago. The kidneys and liver, our natural detox filters, slow down with age. That means excess nutrients don't clear out as efficiently. Instead, they accumulate. Let's look at vitamin D3 first. Studies from Harvard Health Publishing have shown that doses above 4,000 IU per day, especially in older adults, can raise calcium levels in the blood to dangerous heights, leading to a condition called hypercalcemia. Symptoms include nausea, fatigue, confusion, and irregular heartbeats. Some people even develop kidney stones or arterial calcification. In simple terms, too much vitamin D3 can make your blood chalky. And without enough magnesium to keep calcium in check, the situation worsens. Now consider magnesium. While deficiency is common, excess supplementation can also cause harm, especially in people with reduced kidney function. High doses, above 500 mg day, can lead to low blood pressure, slowed breathing, and in extreme cases, cardiac arrest. Doctors often emphasize magnesium safety zones for seniors because unlike in youth, the elderly body can't just flush out what it doesn't need. And what about vitamin K2? While rare, excessive doses can interfere with medications, especially blood thinners like warfarin. K2 supports calcium control, but when mixed with certain drugs, it can reduce their effectiveness, creating a dangerous tug of war between your supplements and your prescriptions. Here's a real-world example that brings it all together. A 74-year-old man named Harold began taking a super supplement stack after watching online videos that claimed high doses of D3, K2, and magnesium would reverse aging. Within 6 months, he developed constant fatigue, muscle weakness, and swelling in his legs. Blood tests revealed dangerously high calcium and magnesium levels and impaired kidney function. His doctors stopped all supplements, adjusted his nutrition, and slowly restored his balance. The damage wasn't permanent, but it was a close call. The truth is, supplements are not inherently dangerous. They're tools, but every tool needs precision. A hammer can build a house or break a window. The difference lies in how it's used. For most seniors, moderation and monitoring are the safest path. Regular blood tests every 306 months can show whether your vitamin D, calcium, and magnesium are within optimal ranges. Combining supplements with nutrient-rich foods like leafy greens, fatty fish, seeds, and fermented foods, which naturally contain K2, provides a safer, more bioavailable foundation. Here's something most people don't realize: your body is not a storage tank. It's a system of flow. What you take in has to circulate, be used, and then be cleared. When we overload it, we interrupt that rhythm. So if you ever wonder whether your supplements might be doing more harm than good, ask yourself this: am I feeding my body or forcing it? Because healing isn't about flooding your system. It's about restoring its balance. Supplements can be powerful allies, but only when used with wisdom, awareness, and respect for your body's limits. Remember, health doesn't come from excess, it comes from equilibrium. Let me start with a moment of truth. The most dangerous supplement habit isn't taking the wrong vitamin, it's taking the right one without knowing your levels first. Millions of seniors around the world take vitamin D3, magnesium, and K2 every day because they've heard they're good for you. But here's the reality: without a blood test, you're flying blind. You could be correcting a deficiency that doesn't exist, or worse, pushing your levels into a toxic range. And your body doesn't whisper when it's in danger. It stays silent until the damage is already done. Imagine you're driving a car at night with no dashboard lights. You can't see your speed, your fuel level, or your temperature gauge. You just keep driving because you feel fine. But then, suddenly, smoke starts rising from the hood. That's exactly how supplement misuse works. You may feel okay for months, sometimes even years, until one day your body gives you a warning you can't ignore. Here's the thing most people don't realize: nutrients like vitamin D3, magnesium, and K2 don't just act independently. They interact, sometimes in ways that depend heavily on your individual biology. Some people have genetic variations that slow down vitamin D metabolism. Others may not absorb magnesium efficiently because of gut issues. Without knowing these individual factors, dosing becomes guesswork. And when health becomes guesswork, the consequences are unpredictable. Let's take vitamin D3 first. Optimal blood levels generally range between 40 or 60 ng/ml. Below 30, your bones start to weaken and your immunity suffers. But above 100, your blood calcium can rise dangerously. Too much calcium in the blood leads to calcification, hardening of arteries, stiff joints, and even kidney damage. Now, here's the interesting part: if your magnesium is low, your vitamin D3 levels may look low on a test, even if you're taking enough, because your body can't activate it properly. So if you see a low D3 result and take more vitamin D, you might just be worsening your imbalance. Magnesium is another tricky one. Most standard blood tests only measure serum magnesium, which represents less than 1% of your body's total magnesium. That's why some doctors recommend a red blood cell, RBC magnesium test, which gives a better picture of your real cellular levels. The normal range is around 4.2 to 6.8 mg/dL, but optimal functioning often requires being closer to the upper side of that range. Too little leads to muscle cramps, irregular heartbeat, and fatigue. Too much causes low blood pressure, nausea, and confusion, especially if your kidneys aren't working at full strength. And then there's vitamin K2. It's not typically measured in standard tests, but its impact shows indirectly in your calcium scores, bone density, and vascular health markers. If your calcium score is high, that might not mean you need less calcium. It might mean your K2 is too low to manage it properly. Here's where modern science and common sense finally meet. The smartest approach to supplementation isn't starting with a pill. It's starting with data. Ask your doctor for a simple blood panel 25-hydroxy vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, CRBC, if possible, kidney function, creatinine and eGFR, and a lipid profile. These numbers will tell you your body's story far more clearly than any YouTube video or health influencer ever could. Let me share a real-life example. A 69-year-old woman named Margaret began experiencing muscle twitching and heart palpitations after increasing her vitamin D3 dose to 10,000 IU daily. She thought it was harmless until her test revealed her calcium levels were almost double the normal range. Her magnesium was severely depleted. Once her doctor adjusted her supplements, lowering her vitamin D3, increasing magnesium, and adding a small amount of K2, her symptoms disappeared within weeks. That she didn't need more vitamins, she needed more information. There's a saying in medicine, you can't manage what you don't measure. And that's especially true for seniors. Our bodies change with age, absorption slows, metabolism shifts, and organs become more sensitive. That's why what worked at 40 might not be safe at 70. So, before you reach for another capsule, remember this, a 40 blood test can save you from a $40,000 hospital bill. Supplements should serve your biology, not fight it. The goal isn't to take more, it's to take right. Because balance begins with awareness, and awareness begins with data. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. The difference between healing and harm often comes down to a single word, balance. Not dosage, not brand, not timing. Just balance. Most seniors who fall into supplement trouble do, so not because they took something wrong, but because they took it without harmony. You see, your body isn't a chemistry lab. It's a symphony. Every mineral, every hormone, every vitamin plays its note. And when those notes align, health doesn't need to be forced, it flows. But when one note plays too loud, say, too much vitamin D3 without enough magnesium or K2, the song turns into noise. It's like pressing the piano keys harder thinking it'll make better music. It doesn't. It just makes chaos louder. Here's the truth, very few supplement companies will tell you after age 60, your internal system changes completely. Your digestion slows, your absorption weakens, and your kidneys, those silent filters, become less efficient. So, even if you take the same dose as you did 20 years ago, your body may process it differently. What was once safe can now be risky. This is why balance isn't just smart, it's survival. Let's put this in simple terms. Imagine your body as a 3-story house. Magnesium lives on the ground floor. It stabilizes everything, your heartbeat, your nerves, your muscles. Vitamin D3 is on the 2nd floor. It opens the windows to let in calcium and sunlight. Vitamin K2 lives on the top floor. It decides where that calcium will be used. Now, if one floor starts overloading while the others are empty, the house starts cracking from inside. That's exactly what happens when seniors supplement without ratio control. Scientific studies now confirm that the trio of magnesium, vitamin D3, and K2 only works effectively in balance. For instance, the European Journal of Nutrition published findings showing that individuals with high vitamin D intake but low magnesium had significantly higher risks of arterial calcification and heart strain. Meanwhile, when magnesium and K2 were added in proper proportion, the body distributed calcium more efficiently, reducing both bone fractures and heart stiffness. So what's the ideal balance? While it varies by person, the general guide for adults over 60 is as follows: vitamin D3, Can 1,000, 2,000 IU daily or enough to maintain serum levels of 40-60 ng LF. Magnesium 200, 400 mg daily. Ideally as glycinate or citrate for better absorption. Vitamin K telos I 100, 200 mcgs daily, preferably in the MK7 form. Calcium 700, 1,000 mg daily, mostly from food, not pills. Now, let's bring this to life with a simple story. There was an elderly couple, James and Ruth, both in their late 70s. James was taking 5,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily because he believed it kept him strong. Ruth, on the other hand, took a balanced stack, smaller doses of D3, some K2, and magnesium. After a year, James developed kidney stones and joint stiffness. Ruth, however, had steady bone density and perfect blood calcium. The difference wasn't luck, it was balance. She wasn't feeding her body more. She was feeding it right. This is the message most seniors need to hear today. You don't need a cabinet full of supplements. You need an understanding of how they work together. That's where real longevity begins. Supplements can't replace wisdom. They respond to it. And here's something profound to remember. Your body already knows what to do. It's been healing you since birth. But as you age, it just needs clearer instructions. Supplements are tools to guide that process, not to control it. The moment you shift from more to balanced, your body begins to respond differently. Your sleep improves, your energy stabilizes, and your heart feels lighter. Not from magic, but from physiology working as it was designed to. So before you swallow that next capsule, pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I giving my body what it needs, or what I assume it needs? Because one approach builds health quietly, the other erodes it slowly. The truth is, the elderly body doesn't need more chemicals, it needs more communication. Between nutrients, between systems, between you and your own awareness. Balance is not boring, it's brilliant. It's what keeps the heart flexible, the mind clear, and the bones strong long after youth fades. Supplements may support your journey, but balance sustains it. And that's the real secret to aging powerfully, not by doing more, but by doing right. Let me leave you with one image. Think of your body in your later years as a vintage car. Amazing, worthy of respect, but with delicate wiring and older parts, you wouldn't pour extra fuel aggressively into a 50-year-old engine without checking the pistons, the oil, the hoses, and the spark plugs. In the same way, you can't pour high doses of vitamins into an aging system without checking the organs, the levels, the interactions. Let your supplements be gentle tune-ups, not fuel overloads. If you walk this path with caution, respect, and monitoring, you give your elderly body a chance to flourish, not falter. I hope this speech helps many older souls navigate the thin line between healing and harm. May every viewer take away one wise question. Do I really need to raise my dose, or should I first test, observe, and adjust? Thank you, and to health, wisdom, and safer supplements.